Select has turned into a major player, I feel, at least in India. But how were the old days? Were you always the events guy, or did it come along the path? And how did you end up getting into the events industry?
It took me 6 months to convince my father that I'm not a manager or a bartender and I'm a curator.
If I were to ask your closest friends to describe you in 3 words, what do you think they would say?
Chindi was one word that came up more than I would like to admit.
What's that one guilty pleasure song that you listen to but would never play at an event?
I do play it at the events. I always request my DJs to play it.
One misconception about DJs that annoys you the most.
That it's easy.
How is an introverted guy like you singing?
Alcohol.
And what's one overrated trend going on in the events space right now?
Coffee raves.
So would you treat a friend the same way you would treat a stranger?
No. So obviously if someone's a friend, they will get a warmer hug, a better
And a drink.
Yeah, and quicker entry and free tickets and backstage access. So
Okay.
obviously
So
the
guys,
perks
you have
come.
to be Kanav's friend then. And Kanav, you've worked with such big names like Ranveer Singh, AP, and King. What was that one event that you thought that, damn, we really pulled that off? And how much would you say you were able to make in a good night of just, let's say, an event you're doing at a club?
But when it comes to a bad day, you can lose your car.
What's the most expensive party you have done, and what made it so expensive?
We threw a 350 people Diwali party for free.
What are some things that you want to say about this career that you are into, and something very unique in my opinion?
You are living to make another person successful.
Is that
and not
also the
jump.
hardest part of this profession? When a night goes well, when an event goes well, no one really appreciates it. But if one thing goes wrong, there's a lot of backlash. How do you handle that? Do you think passion-driven industries like yours suffer from people who undervalue it as just being fun? Does AI play a role in event management? Has Select experimented in this domain? Was there ever a time in life where you thought of quitting, that I'm not being able to do it?
Too many.
Hello and welcome to my very own podcast, the Adhiraj Sethi Circle. My name is Adhiraj Sethi, and today we have someone from the world of lights, sound, and larger than life experiences. My good friend, Mr. Kanav Kumar. He's the founder of Select Experiences, an events and marketing agency that has been creating unique and unforgettable experiences for you all. We'll be diving deeper into behind the scenes of events, misconceptions about DJs, artist management, and much more. So, without further ado, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the drill. Let's dive right into it. Welcome, Kanav. Welcome to the circle. Comfortable? How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
Looking
Thank you
forward.
for taking out the time and coming here.
I'm just hoping I don't get cancelled.
You won't, don't worry. We have very fun questions, easy questions.
And good editors.
Yes. So let's take it back first, Kanav. Like, were you always the events guy, or did it come along the path? And how did you end up getting into the events industry?
So, funnily enough, I was the introverted computer kid.
Yes.
Like, I literally, in school, that's all I did. I was in computers. I have trophies in computers. Like, Principal Special, National Olympiad, rank 1.
Okay.
Not the guy who would go out much, and definitely the guy you would find inside the computer lab or sitting in his home just figuring out coding and stuff.
Huh.
So got into partying actually first, and
Okay.
every origin story starts with a heartbreak.
Hanji.
So I had a breakup in like 11th grade,
Oh.
and I was really sad about it, and I figured that the best way to get over it is to go clubbing. And I went to like Kia for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Okay.
You know, like there's that meme
Huh.
that the booze is flowing, the music is hitting, the world is good here. And I was like,
Okay.
dude, this space,
Yeah.
this enclosed space with these random strangers, this is a nice vibe. I want to stay here only. So I got into clubbing basically, and I got into hardcore partying. It wasn't until like the second year of college for me when my best friend and also my business partner, Beat Crush Siddharth, called me and he said that, do you want to do events? because you know you're so good at partying. I would love it if we could do an event together. And he sort of tricked me into becoming a promoter because I was like, what do you do in events? He's like, you just have to call your friends who you party with and I'll play music and you will get free booze and you will also get paid. And I was like, it sounds easy, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So in my second or third year of college, I accidentally became a promoter.
Okay.
Wherein we'd called, like I had called like all of my friends and Sid played music. It was a horrible night for me, being very honest, because it was the first event we ever did. It was called Classic Mind. And back then there was a new feature on Instagram called Stories, which is obviously very common now.
Yeah.
So what I did was I invited 300 of my friends who I used to party with. Told all of them, if you're coming, just put a story of the event also, so I'll confirm your reservation. And we end up getting like 1200 people in a 350 people capacity space.
Which college is this?
This was not a college. Like, this was we did a club called Monkey House. That was the first club that we ever did. And 350 people who said I'll bring my friends into 4 became like 1200 people at the gate. And 300 people space. And 11 o'clock, people are just shouting, get me in, dude, I fucking came here. And I'm like, Sid, kya karu? And he looks at me and he's like, मैं गाने बजाने जा रहा हूँ. Best of luck. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, he just leaves me stranded at the gate and I have no idea what to do, right?
Yeah.
So, long story short, the event was a massive hit and also a big failure because like 700 people had to go home. So we had to put out like a public apology.
Yeah.
And I told Sid that, you know, I'm done. I'm never going to do events again. Then we got paid. And when I saw the money, I was like, yeah, let's do it again.
Fair. You described yourself, but just for the viewers, if I were to ask your closest friends to describe you in 3 words, what do you think they would say?
They would call me crazy for sure.
Okay.
I did ask 2 of my friends this question recently. So, chindi was one word that came up more than I would like to admit.
Why?
They were like, you're too chindi in business. I was like,
okay, fair.
Minimal costs, maximum
They
profit
expect
is my...
you to give them freebies and you're not doing
No,
it.
like my friends were just like that, you know, because they also have seen how I work. So they're like, you want to just extract the dollar as much as you can. But yeah, crazy wild is what I've found out.
Okay, that's good, I think.
One friend said smart, so I appreciate that.
So you could have said that first. But chalo, you were honest. I appreciate that.
I am crazier than I am smart. So.
Fair.
But I'd like to clarify that I did not end up doing events full time till like 3-4 years after the first event.
Oh, so what else were you trying?
I was a brand consultant for Bacardi and Diageo. I was doing a proper job.
Oh.
Like I used to sell popcorn when I was 18 as my first internship.
Oh.
Then I started selling notebooks when I was 19 as my internship. Like I've been working throughout. So like since 18 I haven't ever had a day off.
Okay.
It wasn't until I was 23 when I started doing Select. And that was also primarily because of a bet that I had with someone.
Okay.
So before that, there's a firm called Fetch. So that's where I was a brand consultant.
Yeah, I've heard of that. It's a clothing brand, right?
No. Fetch is a PR firm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
isn't it also some kind of a
no,
hypewear
that's
brand?
La Fetch.
Oh, okay.
So Fetch is an influencer marketing and brand consulting brand. They used to manage Kusha Kapila and all these people.
Oh, fair.
So I was on the brand consulting side of it, and my main clients were Bacardi and Diageo. So that's where I got the whole branding side of my knowledge.
Wow, we got to know something new. But just to get something more out of it, what's a skill or a hobby that you're just surprisingly good at?
The skill or a hobby that I'm surprisingly good at would be pool.
Pool?
I love playing pool.
So do you guys like bet against each other?
No, I play for the love of pool.
Okay.
So for me, like karaoke and pool, and especially things that you can do for unwinding, they're never monetary because for people who are not in this space, it's the club and the party where they go to unwind.
Yeah.
For us, that's the workspace.
Yeah.
So my idea of relaxation is not going to a club. My idea of relaxation is probably watching a movie, something that's understimulating, or playing pool.
Fair.
A lot of people don't know I studied Italian. I speak Italian. I play the mouth. Io parlo un poco italiano.
What is that?
That I speak a little bit of Italian.
Oh wow, that was quite fluent.
And I also play the mouth organ. But
seriously?
yeah.
When did you come across that?
I came across that. Like I told you, I was an introverted kid, dude.
Yeah.
Like, घर बैठे बैठे तुम क्या ही करोगे?
A mouth organ.
I was
बजा
like,
लेते.
guitar, nahi, bro, it's too cliche. So, what is one portable instrument that I can just carry with me?
So just take it on a
Just
date.
take. No, that's like when you're traveling the world, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you're sitting in a bar in Amsterdam
Yeah.
and you're surrounded by people.
Yeah.
You can't whip out a guitar.
Yeah.
At least let's go. I have a guitar in my pocket. So I
Yeah.
was like, bro, I'll just take a mouth organ.
Yeah.
Just like go.
Fair.
Yeah, but I'm not good at it anymore.
But do you have a video of it?
No, thank God. I'm from that
I
age
wish you had
where
a video
digital
of it. I
camera-
would have played it.
the age I'm from, the handycams are not that portable, and back then I wasn't traveling.
इतना भी old नहीं है. मतलब, come on. Fair. But sure. You told us that your workspace is actually where people come to relax. You know. That's all at the night time, right?
Yeah.
What's your morning looking like? Do you have some kind of a routine to get over last night?
So,
And
contrary to popular belief,
Yeah.
I get up at 10 in the morning.
yeah,
Like, maximum I sleep is till 11 in the morning because we do have an office. We
even
have
if
to-
you sleep at like 4 a.m.
So, if I'm sleeping at 4 am, it's majorly going to be a Saturday.
Okay.
Because even if we have an event on Wednesday, Friday,
Hmm.
I mean, touch wood, we have a team. I am out of the venue by 1:30.
Okay.
I'll go to sleep by 2:30, wake up by 10 because first thing in the morning is going to the gym.
Fair.
Because in this lifestyle, if you're not staying healthy, you're not going to be here for the long run.
Fair.
So every morning I am in office by 11:30, 12, and hopefully in the gym at least 3 times a week by 11.
That's really nice. And Kanav, what's the most randomest thing that you're like really competitive about?
Everything.
You're really competitive about
Like,
everything.
even this is going to be the best podcast episode that you've had.
Okay, so make sure
Yeah,
it is.
Doesn't matter if Ambani was sitting in the next one. This is the most entertaining one that has to be there.
We'll make sure it is. Your work involves so much handling of team members, like you said. There are so many variables involved, factors involved. That must be coming in with a lot of stress as well, right?
So one thing about this line of work is that there's no entry to barrier.
Yeah.
Because you don't need an education. You don't
Yeah.
even need let alone a degree. You don't even need to be educated
Fair.
to do this.
Fair.
Anyone can get up tomorrow and open an events firm if they're street smart, if they're hands on. So there's always that stress that some new person will come in and wipe you off the next morning.
Yeah.
But it's the love for what I do is what
Yeah.
keeps me going, and it's also the amount of passion that we have for what we do that keeps us at the top of our game.
So does that not give you any kind of stress?
Definitely does.
How do you handle it?
When I'm super stressed out, it's just about figuring out what's next. Like, what do you want to do? Because our company tagline is boring is bad for business. So anytime we have a thought on this is what we should do, I'm like, if this is boring, then we should not be doing it.
And now SLCT or Select.
Common misconception is, but
Yes.
it's we just took the E's out of
Yeah.
Select.
I said it intentionally so that you can correct me. But yeah, so now Select has turned into a major player, I feel, at least in India. And but how were the old days? Like you described it, that you never really planned on getting into the event space. But when you started the company, obviously you must have been sure about this, that I want to do it.
So when I started the firm, this was actually the second business I was doing. I was doing my job. I had an
Okay.
online e-commerce platform called Beauty Nova. So that was my first business.
Oh.
And I used to sit at the last bench in the office and just do my job work in 2-3 hours and then utilize the other 5-6 hours sitting on the back desk running my e-commerce platform and planning out events which I was going to do. So like everybody in that team used to call me Rocket Singh because they knew that I'm doing this. And then eventually when the event space came in, they started calling me Hannah Montana because they would see on Instagram that I'm drinking and partying till 5 in the morning and I'm in office at 11.
Yeah.
And I'd just walk in and be like, oh my god, I'm so tired from last night, but I
Yeah.
have to get this done or my boss will fire me.
Yeah.
So this was like the last of what I wanted to do because again, my family always wanted me to be in a more traditional space, whether it's the family business, whether it's maintaining my job or even the e-commerce platform, because again, this line of work is pretty looked down upon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I started off, my parents literally used to think that I'm a bartender.
Oh.
Like it took me 6 months to convince my father that I'm not a manager or a bartender and I'm a curator, and that event management is something that people do for a living.
Yeah, we'll get to that as well. But was there one particular event or opportunity that made you think that this is serious? I want to do this for the rest of my life.
So there have been multiple actually.
Okay.
So half the reason I quit my job was because of two reasons. It was one that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I did have my online e-commerce platform running, but it was majorly that I did not want to work for somebody else. And after seeing the unity that events and music bring into people, just like 1,000 people coming together for the love of music, and just a very Punjabi trait of mine in this particular segment would be in middle of the event, I'll just stand in a corner for a minute, just look at everyone and be like, हाँ सबको मजा आ रहा है ना, ठीक है, मेरा काम आज का हो गया.
Nice. And you said you're so introverted. Are you still
So
introverted?
I'm an ambivert.
Okay, so you're getting there. But how did this karaoke with Kanav start? Because I saw your stories and I was like, okay, this is looking fun. Kanav is singing. How is an introverted guy like you singing?
Alcohol.
Okay.
Best solution.
Good answer. Fair.
Oh, but it was always a love for karaoke because, like I said, it's about people coming together for music. So if you look at the basis of karaoke, you are technically singing other people's songs, but as audience and as layman people, we love singing.
Yeah.
And for one person to come up on the mic and feel like a star for 1 minute, it really is an empowering feeling.
Yeah.
And then 100 people, even if it's not 500 people, all singing together.
Yeah.
It's just that feeling of having a community around you that's like doing this.
It feels good.
It feels good. Like
Yeah.
I first was introduced to karaoke when I was 17 at a very small bar in Ajchini
Okay.
called TC, and my friend's physics professor actually took us there.
Okay.
And we used to call his professor every Tuesday and Sunday. That's
It was
where
a
हमने
school trip?
No, it was like college. Like
Okay, college trip.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, it was first year of college.
Okay.
So again, computer science student, and all my friends were engineers.
Hmm.
So we'd call the professor. That's how we've done the homework. Can you please let us into this bar tonight so we can do karaoke?
It was his bar?
No, like he
Acha.
just knew the guy, right? Because
Okay.
we're 18-year-old kids. How do we
fair.
even get in? And
Fair.
we're 3 boys because
Fair.
we're engineering students.
Fair.
So my friend would sing Backstreet
Now
Boys.
you've turned into the physics professor.
Yeah, now I'm not as lame as the physics professor. Sorry, sir. Yeah, now I've turned into the other guy. No?
Yeah. Fair.
But it was like he would sing Backstreet Boys, I would sing Rio Sim Shady. And because we were so regular, I would just walk into the bar and people would be like, hey, Eminem's here. And I was like, oh, people remember me by the
When
song.
are you inviting me next? I have never received an invite.
Again, one common misconception when I hear this from people is that you've never invited me. When you do this for a living and you do this on a daily, you can't exactly invite people. Like imagine me calling you every Saturday night saying, Adhiraj, are you coming tonight?
Yeah, you have to. I
You will
want
straight
to
up
feel
be like,
special.
Kanav, stop calling me. Stop picking up my calls.
No.
You're like, फिर दारू पीने के लिए बुला रहा है. And primarily because in these events, it's not that, we're inviting you so you can have F&B on the house.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start perceiving the fact that you're using them. So with our events, particularly with the karaoke night also, the karaoke night is once a month. Friends and family come. It's a good fun night. It's not even something that I'm doing for a monetary benefit. It's just that there's a beautiful karaoke culture in Vietnam, in Japan, even in Bombay for that matter. Like there was one Sunday where I did 3 karaokes in a day from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m.
In Bombay.
I was just at different karaoke.
Okay.
Because like at 5 o'clock the brunch would end. They'd be like, okay, 6 to 9, this is the space
Okay.
where then we do karaoke. Then 9 to 2, we do karaoke here.
Oh wow.
And I was like, dude, this karaoke culture is amazing. And in Delhi, you barely get good karaoke.
Yeah.
So karaoke with Kanav was majorly to get the word out on that it's a different kind of event. Given how much people party, how much clubbing happens, third space events are really important. Because third space events are spaces which are not your traditional forms of partying, but are also leisure activities for you. So you would see that the coffee rave culture is picking up.
Yeah.
People are taking the most random spaces and doing events because these are third spaces.
Okay.
Normal traditional clubbing is stretched
down.
out to the point where it's dying down. It's a luxury.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to spend 1,000 rupees on a whiskey when you know that you can get a similar experience in a third space.
Fair. And Kanav, you've worked with such big names like Ranveer Singh, AP, and King. What was that one event that you thought that, damn, we really pulled that off?
So in terms of the damn, we really pulled it off. It wasn't any big name actually.
Okay.
It was the Holi event that we did last year, 2024.
Holiest.
Holiest, yes.
Okay.
Because the thing is, we were planning on not doing a Holi event.
Okay.
But because our friends, family, and all our regulars and all our followers kept texting us when's the Holi event, we were like, dude, people really want a Holi event. So we should do a Holi event. 1 week before Holi, we literally go to the Lalit and we're like, hi guys, we want to do the event here again. And they're like, dude, it's like 1 week away. How will you fulfill it? Because there's a minimum guarantee you have to give them, and if the MG is not met, then you are paying out of your own pocket.
Okay.
And like, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out. We ended up getting like 3,000 people for that event in 1 week.
Wow.
So that was my damn. We really pulled it off because that 1 week, nothing I was focusing on, like no calls, no friends, no other events. Have to make sure that Holi happens. Imagine calling up DJs 1 week before Holi and saying, hi, are you available?
Yeah.
They're like, bro, I'm booked. It's like 1 week away.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we'll take another slot. Like you play at this event at 5 p.m., but you play at mine at 2 p.m.
Oh.
So the DJs were like, okay, we'll make double the money.
Yeah.
So actually ended up like calling so many people, just taking different slots to create a lineup and then promoting it, selling tickets, doing the whole production decor. No sponsors because it was 1 week away. So that was the damn, we really pulled it off.
That's nice. Congrats. So that was the general discussion with Kanav, and we'll now move on to the hot seat segment where I'm going to be asking Kanav really interesting questions where he has to be quick and quirky with his answers
And not get cancelled.
and not get cancelled. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see you in the next segment. Welcome back. We are now in the hot seat segment. So Kanav, you're sitting on the hot seat now. It's really hot. Just imagine it to be. You have to be quick and quirky with your answers.
I'm ready.
Ready? Let's go. What's your go-to post-event meal?
Damn, I'm supposed to be quick. Post event, mean honestly, after the event, you're so tired, you just want to go to bed.
So you don't eat anything.
I mean, my guilty pleasure would be a butter chicken roll.
Yeah, fair.
So,
The best city for nightlife in India.
best city for nightlife in India, if I'm saying partying, Delhi for sure.
Okay.
I'm saying safety,
Okay.
Bombay for sure.
Okay. Who from your team is most likely to go missing during an event?
Abhijit.
Who is that?
Abhijit is one of the core team members and most likely to just be missing for 2 hours. No
Why?
idea where he is.
What is he doing?
No idea. It's been 3 years. Like, is he taking...
What are you doing, Abhijit?
Like, is he pooping? Is he gone out? This one time, middle of the event, he went, attended a roka and came back. And I'm just like, weren't you in a oversized t-shirt? Why you in a
Wasn't
suit?
he working that
Yeah,
time?
he was like, why in a suit now? He's like, मैं roka attend करके आ गया. I was like, how long has this event been going on? Like,
Fair. What's that one guilty pleasure song that you listen to but would never play at an event?
I do play it at the events. I always request my DJs to play it. It's
Okay.
Bewafa by Imran Khan.
Bewafa. Oh, damn.
Like I said,
Heartbreak.
that's the origin story for every person.
Damn. One misconception about DJs that annoys you the most.
That it's easy.
Fair.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between a good DJ and a playlist DJ?
So a good DJ will play for the crowd.
Okay.
A playlist DJ will play their playlist.
And what's one overrated trend going on in the events space right now?
In the event space, an overrated trend would definitely be coffee raves. And
You think it's overrated?
it's a tad bit overrated because
You don't like them?
personally, as a avid coffee lover,
Hmm.
as you must have seen, there's coffee with Kanav also.
Yeah.
I go to a coffee space to unwind.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with a beautiful iced latte, preferably a good croissant, to just unwind, probably read a book, catch up with a friend. If I'm entering a coffee space and I'm listening to that same thing that I'm hearing at night, I'm like, why am I at this coffee space?
Fair.
Another one would definitely be the overuse of techno and house that people are pushing on, primarily because they think it's a cool trend. Because these trends, they come and go.
Yeah.
Like 1 year ago, I would say there was a good UK Punjabi wave. It flew off, then it came into house. Not saying house is not great. I mean, all genres are beautiful. But it's just being pushed a bit more than the others.
What's one event that you've attended as a guest that blew your mind?
Definitely in the larger spectrum, I would say EDC. I went to EDC Thailand this year.
Okay.
Beautiful production. I mean, visuals,
Yeah.
stage production, the lineup. And given that nowadays, especially in India, EDM is not as popular as it used to be, to be able to listen to, Steve Aoki, to listen to Yellow Claw, to listen to Skrillex, the EDM era, because of which we got into partying, just to relive that, especially with the scale, was insane.
Now, except for that event, what is one event you wish you had organized instead of the
Tomorrowland.
Oh, would you be able to pull that off? Will that make you go, damn, we pulled that off?
With the current state of what the country is, I don't think so, because there's a huge backlash of being in this line, and whenever something goes wrong, alcohol is blamed first.
Yeah.
Even though the largest amount of tax deposits come from this
Alcohol.
like whether it's a VAT or it's the excise, every space that you look at, alcohol is the biggest contributor from every city.
Yeah.
But it's still given so much backlash.
Fair. So you feel like the backlash is stopping you. Otherwise, technically, you are sound enough to pull that off.
I mean, if you look at the current trend, also major events are happening in Gurgaon. They're not happening in Delhi.
Because of the age?
Because it's impossible to do it in Delhi.
Why?
There's so much backlash. There's from every department.
Okay.
There's no way that you will go to a guy and say, "Hi, I'm doing an event," and you're like, "Okay, this is the government fee." There's always 6,000 extras that have to be taken care of.
Fair. What's one celebrity or artist you really wish to work for or work with?
In the celebrity space, obviously Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay.
I mean, there's nobody bigger and better I can think of.
Okay.
But if you look at the artist space, dude, like Arijit Singh and Shankar Ehsaan Loy. A lot of people don't realize that Shankar Ehsaan Loy have the biggest Bollywood music catalog.
Yeah.
And I've attended them live once and I was like, this is surreal. Like, it's amazing.
Okay. One brand collaboration that would be a dream for Select.
The dream would be for Select to be the brand that people would want to collaborate with.
Good answer. If you had to switch lives with a famous event organizer for a day, who would that be? Tell me an Indian events manager.
I mean, I'll name my mentor for sure. Like
Who is
Ayushman Sinha.
Okay.
He's the founder of Represent.
Okay.
He is the man behind DJ Chetas, Anuv Jain.
Oh.
Then you also have like Zayden, Yashraj.
Oh.
He's got a beautiful roster. He's really helping get the Indian music scene out to the world.
Okay, that's nice. And lastly, a piece of advice for someone trying to get into the event space.
Don't.
I knew you were gonna say
Like
that. Is it because you're competitive?
No, worst line to be in. I always tell people, if you have any other option than events, go for it.
Fair.
I don't know a single person in this industry who does not want to quit it, no matter how rich they are.
And what is the reason for that?
It's a taxing space. You are working Monday to Friday in office to execute the work over Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So when is your day off?
Fair.
Because if you wrap up an event at 5 a.m. on a Sunday,
Fair.
10 a.m. the corporates will call you on a Monday because they're working. And they'll work till Friday, so you also have to be working till Friday. But your work starts at Friday night because that's when the audiences want to enjoy.
Yeah.
So when do you get a day off?
That's true. So that was the hot seat with Kanav. He was pretty quick, I think, except for a question or two, and quirky with his answers. So yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next segment now, which is going to be a little more serious. That's the Finance 101. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are now in the Finance 101 segment. We're going to try and get out some information about Kanav's finances, his company's finances. Let's see how much he's willing to answer. But just to start it off, Kanav, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much would you rate your financial knowledge?
I'd say, given that in entrepreneurship, you have to be the one-stop solution for everything.
Yeah.
An 8, definitely.
I think that's the highest rating given till now on my podcast.
Bootstrap business, man. You have to figure out the full form. And obviously science background.
Yeah.
So like I had to figure out what a SIN number is, what a DIN number is, what a GST is.
Fair.
And for other people it was like it's common knowledge. And I was like, dude, I have never been taught the F in finance in school.
Yeah.
Like I can outcode you right now,
Yeah.
but I would not know how to
I
file
don't think
taxes.
these things are taught to finance students either.
Yeah, but like
School is a scam, by the
school
way.
is the biggest scam.
Okay, anyways, running an events company like you do has so much fluctuating cash. There's delay in payments. How do you handle all of that in terms of cash flow?
So a big part of this line is relationships.
Yeah.
So it's not like the other businesses wherein if you've raised an invoice and your client isn't paying, you can just call them out. Because in this line of work, if you've called out one client, supposing, and 6 other clients will not work with you out of the fear of that if you delay the payment, they'll call you out. Or they're so big that they can just crush you in an instant and then you are out of work.
Fair.
So you have to be very patient, you have to be very diplomatic,
Fair.
and you really have to persist.
And does it mostly depend on trust, or do you guys actually sign
So
contracts?
there are contracts, but given how quick the legal system of this country is, I have had clients who say, "हाँ court case file कर दे, क्या फर्क पड़ता है?"
What's that one big case that has really, mind effed you saying that why is he not paying me?
So that's every client.
Every client.
So you have to be sweet, diplomatic, and then get your money out.
Damn. And how much would you say you were able to make in a good night of just, let's say, an event you're doing at a club?
So good night, it can easily be a space which the normal general public would be happy with for a monthly salary also, I would say.
Okay.
But when it comes to a bad day, you can lose your car.
Oh.
And we've had events where
So how do you cope up with these rainy days?
very patiently and hopefully sipping a nice glass of whiskey.
I love your personality, man. You're a unique one, to be very honest.
Boring is bad for business, guys. Like
Fair.
we've literally had an event where we lost enough money for me to be like, dude, I need to sell my car for this. But touch
What
wood,
did you have to do then?
No, we had saved up and we kept. That's why you have to always save and keep your capital ready. I mean, you can't just splurge because one night you made money. I mean, personally, as a artist management firm and an events firm, we know that we're going to make money in December. But we never spend that money that we made in December because we know January, February and March, you are going to be living off of the money that you made in December.
Fair.
And whatever money that's probably going to come in this quarter, you will need it in the rainy days of April, May, June because it's so hot that people don't want to party. People don't want to step out. You can't do a large scale event in New Delhi in the months of April to October.
So it's coming up right now.
Yeah, it's off season for us. I mean, whether you look at weddings, concerts, festivals, large scale events in Delhi especially are practically impossible from April to October. The heat will kill you. Then you have to do an indoor venue. Indoor venue events are possible but are a huge headache, huge costs. AC itself becomes such an additional cost. Experience of the customer really goes down. Even if you put 100 ACs into a venue, when 1000 people are together, you're not going to be able to feel that AC.
It becomes claustrophobic and sweaty.
Sweaty and doesn't work. And then once July, September kicks in, you never know when it's going to rain. I mean, personally, even this March, we had our holy event, 3,500 people, 2 stages, 5 p.m. it rained for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it rained so bad that I had to take down the entire setup outdoors.
Damn.
And in a 3,500 people event, the indoor stage was barely 600 people. So they had to go home. So like I said, one day you could probably make enough money in a large scale event to buy a car, but you could have easily lost your car that day instead of thinking of buying a new one.
Yeah, true. Very true. What's the most expensive party you have done and what made it so expensive?
We threw a 350 people Diwali party for free.
Oh.
In a club.
Why? Why would you do that?
Young money.
Young party never
like
stops.
I said, the party never stops is something you don't think of. So like, we were 2 kids who were 23, bro. Just out of college, actually enjoying what we're doing. Quit our jobs recently. There were no team members, no salaries. It was just 2 people running the whole show. So we were like, dude, like Diwali's here. We don't want to do a house party. Let's just book a club and call everyone and make them drink for free.
Oh.
And we called it Select Wali Diwali. We had 3 team members at that time, I guess. And they were also like freelancing. So we were just like, cool, we'll just call 350 people do a party.
How much did that cost you?
A bit too much.
Okay, fair. My next question is, how do you decide on how much should be spent on, let's say bookings, production, artist? Is there a methodology behind this?
So, technically speaking, it's very variable.
Hmm.
Once you get into the international acts,
Hmm.
then your artist costs naturally become heavier. Because that is your anchor for the night. That's what you're putting the whole show together for. So it has to be played out in a manner where always leave scope for 20% to spend in marketing.
Okay.
You can have Drake playing at Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium tomorrow, but if nobody knows about it,
Fair.
it's not going to make a difference.
Fair.
So
Is there any other rule of thumb that you guys follow in your industry?
always account for rain.
Okay. Fair. Fair. And one personal question I had, something that I've always been curious about. You guys, ticketed as early bird, then there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Is that true or is that just an illusion?
So that from our case in particular, I would say is true.
What about the general?
Honestly, not a scam because
Okay.
you would want to reward the people who are 100% sure. Like, I'm an Eminem fan. If I know that in December Eminem is coming and today the ticket is for 1000 rupees and it's going to be 2000 in December, I will buy it today because I'm saving money seeing my dream artist. The whole early bird concept is a good reassurance to the event organizer that I have sold these many tickets, I am now confident that I can put together this event. Must have seen a lot of events get cancelled because they haven't sold enough tickets to cover the costs. So you would never want to do an event knowing that your tickets are not selling.
So if the early bird tickets don't sell, mostly do
A
organizers?
lot of people cancel it.
Oh, damn. Another question I had was, do you think the events industry in India specifically is becoming financially sustainable for curators like you, or is it still too unpredictable?
It's really unpredictable. The event space in India is growing, but it's the big guns are growing more than the small ones.
Okay.
Given the day and age, there is a great point where a small event company can sustain, it can make it big, but the financial stability element can never come in this space because it's a very tricky and a very risky space and it's really dependent on people.
And just to highlight the importance of an artist in an event, how much, like what percentage of the cost goes to an artist if it's a local Indian artist, let's say even Beat Crush for that matter?
I mean, easily 30% goes minimum, I would say.
And would that be like the majority, you would say?
So it depends. So when you look at the DJ space, the issue with a passion driven business is that people do it for passion. They don't do it for money. Statistically, a traditional boring business will make more money than a passion driven business any day.
Okay.
Because their people are not there for their hopes and dreams. A lot of people consider events to be a side gig. So they would probably work a job from Monday to Friday and Friday to Sunday, like my team used to call me Hannah Montana back in the day. They would do it for the extra income. And because the number of people who are doing this is exceeding, the scales are changing a lot. And I would definitely say not in a good manner.
Okay.
Because you are blocking opportunities for people who don't have that family backing, who don't have that job, don't have that income. And it's always been their dream to do this. So you might be replacing the slot of someone who spent 12 years DJing because you wanted to play one night for free, for fun, and just get free alcohol for your friends.
Fair. And lastly, what's one financial advice you would give to, let's say, the 18-year-olds watching this, trying to or thinking of getting into this space with their own agency?
Save every penny. You never know when you have to use them all.
Well, fair. I think that's great advice. And yeah, that was the Finance 101 segment. I think that was very informative. And thank you, Kanav, for all that information. But we're going to get out some more information from him in the next segment, which is my favorite segment, the Curiosity Gap. Stay tuned. We'll see you guys in the next segment now. Welcome back. We are now in the final segment, which is the Curiosity Gap. I am bringing in topics that are related to Kanav, and we're going to be having some interesting conversations. We're going to delve deeper into these topics so that you can get a little curious about them and maybe research at home. Just to start off the conversation, what are some things that you feel like are completely misunderstood by people who look at this industry and think of it as just partying and making a quick buck?
Also, the biggest misconception is that you're partying for a living. A lot of times I've seen people and they're like, they literally say, "Tera to sahi yaar, teko to bas party karni hoti hai." Not realizing that
It takes a toll.
It takes a toll. It takes a village to put together what you're doing, and imagine constantly being in an environment with 1,000 people around you and loud music.
Fair.
I mean, it's really overstimulating, and every Monday you feel so low on a Monday because over the weekend you're so overstimulated at all times that Monday morning you're like, where is all that dopamine? Where is that stimulation? And it just feels like your entire world is depressing.
Yeah.
I don't know any DJ, any artist who after a gig listens to music in the car.
Okay.
I have never had a gig.
They get sick and tired.
Bro, whenever you're done with the gig, you want to be in silence.
Yeah.
Because your ears are hurting.
Yeah.
And you have to do this again and again and again.
Yeah. Another thing is that artist management isn't something that is looked upon as, a career option very often. Even, my personal opinion says that events is something that maybe people look at, but artist management is a very unique, new thing that people in India especially don't understand or maybe even appreciate.
Yeah.
And artist management is not just about bookings, I feel. It's about building relationships. It's about managing people. What are some things that you want to say about this career that you are into, and something very unique in my opinion to the viewers?
So artist management, essentially you have to realize you are living to make another person successful.
Yeah, exactly.
And I consider it a very giving profession because you spend all those hours so that when that person gets up on the platform, 1,000, 10,000 people look at him and idolize him or her. And to sacrifice your entire life to build someone else's career, and they can leave you in a second as well. Like, no matter what contracts you keep in space, if an artist wants to leave you, they're open to leaving you.
Yeah.
So it's a very risky space to be in, and you really have to have that bond and that relationship with your artist that we will get there, and once we get there you still keep me there with you.
Yeah. Is that also the hardest part of this profession?
Yes. I mean, there's no artist that has not switched firms at one point or the other. At Select ourselves also, we've had artists who have left the roster. Even if you look at the big guns, whether it be a Badshah, whether it be a King, they'd have switched firms at some point.
Would you like to name the person who ditched you guys?
I mean, it's not ditching per se. I personally feel like everyone is entitled to having good representation.
Yeah.
And if they feel like someone else can do a better job, then they should be with that person.
Fair.
Because at the end of the day, it's about getting your vision executed with your management.
Fair.
At the end of the day, an artist is a company. You're just the CEO.
Fair.
And a CEO should and can be replaced after a certain point if the company is not growing. The company being the artist.
Yeah. Being an artist, manager, and an entrepreneur, what's one of the craziest last minute problems you've had to solve?
It's been on the lines of, we had an event in Gurgaon itself. The entire team's there, assistant DJ is there, he's done the sound check.
Yeah.
The main DJ is stuck in the Gurgaon traffic. You know how bad that gets.
Yeah.
So calling the sound guy to give his scooty to have the artist manager and a driver go down the Gurgaon highway
in the scooty
to go to the artist's window and say, ये गाड़ी ड्राइवर चलाएगा, आप स्कूटी में बैठो, वेन्यू में पहुंचना है, ग्रूम और ब्राइड वेट कर रहे हैं.
Oh damn.
And having the whole thing done within 30 minutes. But I mean, there's always something or the other happening, whether it is that, you've booked a flight, the flight is cancelled, but you have to get to a city in 6 hours.
Oh, yeah, how do you cope with that then?
You have to be an expert.
Are they understanding in that sense? Like the people? No.
So you have to be an expert in travel if you want to be an artist manager. I mean, I have seen sectors where Indigo can go where I did not even think of Indigo going. And obviously the first preference is to have a smooth flight, reach on time.
Yeah.
But you always have to counter in factors. Will he be able to reach there on time? Will he be able to rest there on time?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point where I was touring with my artist. I did 18 flights in 36 days.
Damn.
And you have to counter in the fact that they don't fall sick. They can reach. I've had instances where the artist is sitting on a train. The train is delayed by 12 hours.
Okay.
So you have to tell them to get off the train, book them the first flight, and make sure that they reach the airport, take that flight and reach the venue.
So these are also some kind of losses that are hidden in some sense.
These are hidden charges in a manner, because if a client has booked a flight, supposing he's booked a 2 p.m. flight and you reach at 2 p.m. and you've missed the flight, you can't tell the client to pay for your flight. That's your mistake. So then you have to book the next flight out and hopefully reach there on time. And when you're also in the artist management space, you have to think of the artists as a human being who has their own needs. So if they need to sleep for 4 hours, 8 hours, food, temperature. I've had a space where I was also there with the artist. They gave us a tent in December.
Okay.
It's like 3 degrees outside. You were in your 10th city in like 10th days, and you're just sitting there in a tent thinking, dude, this is the accommodation. Like, I'm gonna fall sick, the artist is gonna fall sick, and he has to play a different show tomorrow. So the artist manager has to really step up and have a conversation with the client that this is not acceptable. You have to also treat us as real human beings. If all your guests are sleeping in a 5-star room, why have you given us a tent?
Fair. Another question I had was, when a night goes well, when an event goes well, no one really appreciates it. But if one thing goes wrong, there's a lot of backlash. If it's on social media, if it's in person, how do you handle that?
So like I said, you have to be patient, diplomatic, and meet them with a smile.
Is ignorance bliss in this industry or no?
I mean, I'll literally tell you, this Saturday itself, I was walking in the club. We had an event, and I had a random guest stop me and said, "Holi pe tune mere ko free ki entry nahi thi." And I was like, bro, that was like a month ago. Why are you
holding a grudge?
And now this person is drunk, because majorly one disadvantage is in this line of work, people around you are always going to be drunk. And this person goes off on me, and I'm like, dude, it's like $1,000. You should have just bought it if you really want to be there. You are standing in this event right now. It's still my event. You are here for free, right? Why is this not being appreciated? Like, nobody remembers the free entries you give them or the free drinks you give them. That they take for granted. But the one time you tell them that, I can't do this, I will not be able to make this happen.
They get offended.
How can you say no to this?
And also, I wanted to say that social media has, put a lot of scrutiny on this industry specifically. How do you manage that? Do you ignore all the comments that are coming there? Do you reply to them? What's your stance?
I mean, it's like banging your head on a brick wall.
Okay.
There's no point.
Fair.
It's best to just let people say what they have to say. However, if you have done something which you have to hold yourself accountable for, is when you should definitely
Have you had to do something like that?
I mean, touch wood, we're a very simple firm. We don't really do anything that will either offend people or anything, and we take women's safety really seriously. I mean, you've also attended our events. When have you seen a fight? And touch wood, in Delhi, to say that there are no fights at the event is the biggest feat. And of course, women's safety. I mean, there's only ever been one event in the past 3 years where a girl has come up to me and said that I am feeling uncomfortable because of a particular guy. Immediately the guy is thrown out. There's no questions asked. If the guy has to talk or give a defense also, it is outside the club is when you talk to them. Inside, if a female guest is uncomfortable, you are out of this venue.
Okay, fair. And you have been scared of getting cancelled from the beginning of the podcast.
Oh no, I just joke about it. Like I said, very simple.
Do you think that the cancel culture has somewhat impacted this industry, where people are scared of doing things passionately that they would have otherwise?
For sure. I mean, if you look at just in the artist space, Shubh was supposed to do a beautiful tour. But because of the whole narrative that came around, the entire tour had to get cancelled. There's a rapper by the name of Talha. It's more in the Desi hip hop space. He was supposed to come from Pakistan to India to perform. Could not happen. Atif Aslam has never performed in India because of how the state is and how cancel culture is. So if you manage to piss off a decent amount or the right audience, your entire show can go to shit.
Fair. The second topic that I wanted to talk about was the passion versus business debate. And I think we've mentioned the word passion a lot in this podcast already. You are doing something that is to your passion, but it must have come up with a lot of struggles, a lot of stress. Was there ever a time in life where you thought of quitting, that I'm not being able to do it?
Too many. Honestly, too many to count. I mean, when I initially quit my job also, I was like, am I doing the right thing? And my mom also told me that, you're quitting your stable job for this. And I was like, you have to trust me, I'll figure it out.
Are you making more money than you were at your job?
The day I was making double my salary is the day I quit my job.
Fair.
And coming back to the question of you want to quit
Passion.
this line,
Yeah.
it comes and goes quite often.
Hmm.
I will not even lie, like I said, January, February, decent months, but there are months where you're not even like making any money. So even in January, I had a full existential crisis where I was on the verge of thinking that maybe it's time to stop this whole thing, and the party is finally over. Because again, in this age that we're in, very passion driven, no doubt, every person has that day when they're old news.
Yeah.
And given how the big guns are growing, artist led events are going to the bigger guns because they can afford to. You've seen Travis Scott is coming.
Yeah.
Eminem will also be coming. One day Beyonce will be coming. And it's not going to be a small firm that can do it because it takes a village and it takes a huge amount of money to bring those artist led events.
True.
So for a small firm to sustain, you have to constantly be innovating. You have to not be boring.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out a way to make it profitable.
Yeah.
So it gets really mentally taxing, especially when you wake up and it's not even like it's reached a point where it's not about me anymore, right? You have to wake up and you have to realize there's 20 mouths that you're feeding. And if you give up today, these 20 will have to find a new job, relocate, or maybe they go to spaces where they're not happy.
True.
And you're not living for yourself at that point, because it's not just those 20 that are working for you, you're also representing 6 artists whose entire livelihood is dependent on you.
Yeah.
So if tomorrow I were to just say, okay, I'm quitting this, the 6 artists first will have that hit that this dude was the reason I was making money.
Yeah.
So they'll get new firms, no doubt.
Yeah.
But there's always that certain amount of pressure and responsibility
True.
on you.
True.
And notice how I still haven't even reached my family
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah.
Like, not even reached the point where my parents, my sister, my friends, my house are dependent.
Yeah.
So it's a very giving area and industry that you're in, that you're living for other people.
Do you think passion driven industries like yours suffer from people who undervalue it as just being fun?
Yes, 100%. Like I was telling you earlier, because people consider this as a side thing, a lot of people do it for fun.
Yeah.
And they're actually taking away the opportunities for the people who've quit everything in their life to do this as a full-time thing.
What's that one thing about running an events business that you wish you knew before getting into it?
That your network is your net worth.
Fair. And do you feel like you had a good enough network to get into it?
I had a decent network of people who used to party. I never had a network of individuals
you can work with.
A 19-year-old at that time did not know anything.
Yeah.
But the 26-year-old today knows the individuals that I've met along the way, which ones to let go of, which ones to keep, which ones are actually friends, which ones are useful, which ones are good connections, which ones are bad connections.
Using you.
Which ones are using you does come a lot. But again, in this line of work, you have to be really, really open-hearted. I mean, it's always...
would you treat a stranger the same way you would treat a friend?
For sure, 100%.
Okay.
Probably won't buy them a drink, but like... we'll definitely meet them in the same
And if I rephrase that question and ask you, would you treat a friend the same way you would treat a stranger?
No. So obviously, if someone's a friend, they will get a warmer hug, a better
and a drink,
and quicker entry, and free tickets and backstage access. So
okay.
obviously, the
guys, you have to be Kanav's friend then.
No, there's literally been a
but
point.
But don't get offended if he tells you he can't do it this time.
There's literally been a point when we were in college and you're in this event space, you would match with people on dating apps and they would just ask you for the first date at the event so that they could get in. And you can see right through it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens really less nowadays, thank God, because a lot of spaces are more accessible.
Yeah.
But you remember back in the day, like a lot of clubs were just closed off.
Yeah.
You would have to know someone to get in.
The manager or
so they would literally become friends with you just so that they could get access to the space.
Fair. And the last topic for the podcast before we wrap up was talking about the bigger picture of events. See, events are obviously about fun, but they drive a significant portion of the experience economy in India right now. And like you mentioned earlier as well, that the experience economy is growing. How do you think that you as Select or you as an entrepreneur are taking advantage of that fact?
So we're currently not taking full advantage of the fact because we want to do more experiential marketing. We do it for a few brands, and a lot of brands also need to understand that we understand the fact that they want to place their product, but their product doesn't pay our bills. So for these brands to actually work with us well or work hand in hand with the event companies is to actually allot a budget which is a monetary sponsorship. I've had so many conversations with brands where they are like, we'll give you a story, we'll give you this much amount of product. And in that time you're thinking, dude, I can't tell my team tomorrow that, hi bro, here's like product, go pay your bills.
Yeah.
I mean, in an event, you need a P&L and you need the money. So brands, they are spending more in the experiential space, but because of how vast it's become and how many platforms there are and how many vertical channels there are present, they are not willing to give monetary sponsorships like they used to,
Okay.
which is again giving a huge disadvantage to event firms.
Okay. Okay. And just adding on to that thought and what you had said earlier, do you think small agencies have a fair chance in this space, especially with big companies taking in the bigger artists and big festivals like the Sunburn, handling a larger amount of crowd better maybe?
No, always focus on your niche.
Okay.
Always have a defined niche, and you can do it. I mean, you will not even believe how many festivals there are in this country. There's a very huge festival in the northeastern region called Cherry Blossom, and I'm not sure if you heard of it, but like Boney M came there and performed.
Oh.
I mean, if you have your niche, it doesn't matter how small or big you are. Obviously, that guy is big now, but the first edition is really important. And if your niche is defined, you can do it, because again, everyone is focusing in their vision, and there's always something that there's an audience for. It's just about figuring out your niche, working towards it, and growing in that.
Continuing on the lines of the bigger picture of this industry, does AI play a role in event management or artist management? And if it does, has Select experimented in this domain?
So I personally love technology, like a degree in computers, like I told you earlier.
Yeah.
So I experiment with AI a lot.
Hmm.
It's helped in making processes quicker,
Okay.
but it hasn't eliminated the
The need
for a
those-
manual
yeah,
person.
Yeah.
Because again,
What processes?
I mean, basic processes. I mean, in terms of, especially if you say artist management, we personally have a ChatGPT bot altogether for everyone in the company to be unified in terms of the commercials or the rules and regulations.
Okay.
So if I am not available, you can talk to the bot like you're talking to me, and he will know the basics of the company, and he can guide you on the basics, that this is rules and regulations that you are not supposed to disobey,
Yeah.
because this is regarding the artist's commercials, his comfort, his tech, stuff like that.
I think you guys are using bots on Instagram and WhatsApp as
So
well.
we personally don't use bots.
Okay.
It's easier to do it, no doubt, but like I told you earlier, this entire line is about relationships.
Okay.
So if tomorrow I were to talk to a bot for my Saturday night, I'll be pissed. You know, if it's my birthday, supposedly, I'm texting you for a reservation or even a table. Even at concerts, tables are important. You can't give it to a bot because this is a very intimate thing and it's a very dynamic thing.
So, but don't you think it's good enough for the initial conversation before the
For
human intervention?
basics, for sure, 100%. But currently, as a firm, we haven't done that because we believe in human relationships.
Okay.
AI we're utilizing just to fasten up our processes.
Great. Just to wrap it up, I just want to ask one last thing of you, which is you can be a big inspiration to a lot of introverted children out there who might want to be extroverted. There's nothing wrong in being introverted, but might want to, be more open and social with people. What's one thing that's helped you turn into an ambivert now instead of an introvert? And what's something that you can give them as advice to, work upon that can help them get out in the world? Because it's important to interact with people regardless of what people say. So what's something that you can tell them?
So I would say this for every person, whether it's an introvert, extrovert, because even if you look at musicians, they gatekeep a lot of their music because they're scared
Yeah.
that people won't like it.
Yeah.
You have to always be out there. You
Yeah.
have to always take that leap, that risk,
Hmm.
whether it is on the lines of talking to that person sitting next to you on the bus
Hmm.
or putting out that track, whether it's on SoundCloud. Because you never know where life can take you until you take that leap or if you take that opportunity. And the only advice I would say is just put it out there. Like, don't
Don't be
restrict
afraid.
yourself, don't be afraid, don't think that what if it doesn't happen
Fair.
in that way. You should always think of what if it works out.
Yeah,
You
because
would never know. You'd probably be sitting on a podcast with Adhiraj.
Well, that was a great podcast. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
me,
so much
Kanav.
for having me.
And thank you for sharing so much about your industry. I think there's very less knowledge and information about your industry out there. So this podcast could be really helpful and informative for people. But I just need you to do one last thing, which is grab those pair of shades right next to you and grab that pen right in front of you. This one. Give it a nice sign on one lens and write your name on the other.
It's like the first time someone asked me to sign something. This is usually what my artists are supposed to do.
But this is you now. This is your time to shine. You've always been working from the backstage. This is your time to be on the front.
I don't even know.
Don't be afraid.
I don't even know if I have a good sign or not.
That's no worries. The most unique signs are the worst ones.
My sign's like an OTP. That's what my parents always say. 'cause
Just
I'm
wear
left-handed,
those shades for the viewers so that they can see
my
how
horrible handwriting.
cool you're looking. That was Kanav Kumar, entrepreneur, founder of Select, artist manager. Contact if you need him. And that's me, Adhiraj Sethi, signing out. Love and peace to you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the drill. See ya.
Don't drink and drive, guys.